in the title, you know? When it's like loss and meaning, transcendentalism in the work of Klaus van Holdenberg, that, what comes after that colon is not even in English usually.
My side. Yes. What's the most stressful part of VidCon? The most stressful part of VidCon is
that's the sound that my anxiety makes.
Yeah. Probably it's the moment right before you go on stage, but I go on stage like 25 times. So it's like, can this end, please? Can I just go out and come off and be done?
Yeah, I mean,
I do a lot of introductions, and I'm always very scared that I will say someone's name wrong.
Yeah, I live in fear of the day when I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Bieber! And Selena Gomez comes out, and I'm like, oh, I knew it!
Yeah, backstage I said, did you just introduce Megan and Liz? And John was like, what should I have said? Was that Selena and Alexa?
Like, your names are Megan and Liz, what am I supposed to do? You know, we are really, really grateful that this has happened. It is overwhelming. But there is at the same time that like intensely personal feeling of, oh God, this is a lot of human beings.
Right, I mean, part of it is...
we want, you know, like we want every single one of you to have a really good time and to feel like you had a valuable experience. And so all Hank and I ever do when we talk about VidCon is talk about either things that will go wrong or things that did go wrong. So it's your job to enjoy it. And then we will like hopefully hold all of your anxiety. So ideally, 7,000 people can just give us all of their worry, and we'll just have it for a couple days, and then we'll go on vacation.
Thank you.
Yes.
John, if you could be a fruit, what kind of fruit would you be?
If I could be a fruit, what kind of
fruit? Is he not a fruit?
would I be?
Nothing. Nothing. I didn't say anything.
It's probably funny. I don't mind laughing at myself. I mean, if I could be a fruit, then presumably I could be a bunch of other things, and I would definitely not choose to be a fruit. So that's for starters. Oh, my dad has a stroller, but it doesn't have my kid in it. It has my cousin in it. That's cool too, though. But for a second I was like, no, dang it. I guess I would be a banana because they're delicious. They're my favorite fruit in terms of eating a fruit, so I'm gonna go banana.
They are the best fruit. Yes, in the front's here. Oh, I don't know. It's on my Tumblr.
You gotta repeat the question.
He asked what time the Nova special was.
Over here. Yes, green shirt. Who am I most excited to meet at VidCon? So I've met a lot of people over the years at VidCon. Like the first VidCon, I was very excited to meet Zay Frank, and my knees literally buckled when I met him. And I still humiliate myself in front of him every time. And he's like, just calm down, man. I'm just a person. And I'm like, it's just hard to imagine you complexly, Zay. But this year, I don't know, there's a ton of people. I was excited to meet Megan and Liz. I think that they're really lovely.
Yeah, I mean, it's every year there's new people who like are stars again to me, and like who I've never seen and I've only seen on online video, and I see them for the first time, and it's like, oh my God, they have a face, it's face shaped, and they're like a certain size and height, and like they take up physical space. And Felicia Day was that I met her.
Oh yeah, I met Felicia
Day. And I was like, just don't say, can I touch you? Like, just stop thinking that.
No, she was nice. She seemed to know who we were.
Yeah, no, she was like, hey! And I was like, oh! And I was like, oh! And like Jenna Marbles and Daily Grace and like, a lot of the people who like weren't huge deals last year but are now, and the cast of the Lizzie Bennett Diaries who I'd never met. I had never met them in the real world, and I was totally starstruck.
They are lovely.
It was a very weird experience to be starstruck by people who you edit the video. Like I'm staring at them all the time, and I like see both sides of the experience, like them acting and them not acting. But at the same time, I'm like, oh.
Right. So for the dads in the audience who are confused, Hank is part of a project that's adapting Pride and Prejudice into a video blog series called the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. That's very good.
Yeah, if you see them, they're around. They're here now, and they'll be here all weekend. You should just go.
Yeah, and they're the nicest. They're the nicest people, so you shouldn't be afraid of talking to them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's like dream come true for them. So.
Yeah. They've never been recognized before, so they're having a really good time.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn, Hank.
Yes. You in the turquoise. Yeah. Yeah. She wants to see me with my hood up. It's an Assassin's Creed hood.
I just got it. I just figured out that it's an Assassin's Creed reference.
Nah. He's out with Spider-Man thrown in, but I'm pure Ezio over here.
Over here, yes. All right.
How do I convince my parents that writing is like a real thing that you can do so that I don't have to be like an engineering major?
How do I convince my parents that writing is a real thing that you can do and that you don't have to be an engineering major? You're not going to like any part of my answer. Which is why I think you should go ahead and major in engineering. You're not that bad at engineering. You can pick it up. You know, here's the truth. I love writing novels, and I'm very grateful to do it. But I still don't think of it as a day job because it seems to me like a crazy person's day job. Even if you've had some success, it still seems kind of crazy to stake one's family's well-being on novels. You know, so what I would tell your parents is that here is the truth. Lots and lots and lots of people write for a living. They don't all write novels, but I used to work at a magazine called Booklist. I worked there for 6 years, and while I was working at Booklist, every 2 weeks that magazine would be published, and every 2 weeks we would review 400 books. So that means that every 2 weeks there were 400 books good enough to be reviewed in Booklist, that's not to mention the thousands of books every week that we rejected. So there are a lot of people who write books. They don't all do it full time, and in fact the vast majority of us don't, and I would include myself in that camp. But there are a lot of people who write books, and there's no reason why you can't be one of them, because if you look, the truth is, I know a lot of writers. Not all of them are particularly smart. Not all of them, they aren't like fancy people who live in ivory towers and do work that isn't available to other humans. Like, the work that writers do is available to anyone. They're just people who know how to tell good stories using text. So that's what I would show your parents an issue of Booklist magazine, I guess, and say, look, all these books were written by somebody. But that isn't to say that one shouldn't make plans to have a broad life, and a broad life can include. I always note that William Carlos Williams was a doctor, and Kurt Vonnegut was a chemical engineer and writer for GE, and so life takes you in weird places, and you should try to be as prepared for that as you can. And I think that means studying broadly, not necessarily engineering, but something.
Also, I will add, as a nonfiction writer, that there's lots of opportunities, and it's a sort of fun career. It's really hard, and it's really constantly being rejected. But to write for magazines is pretty exciting, and John and I have both had success with that early in our careers. But to be a nonfiction writer, you have to know about stuff.
Very true.
You have to be good at learning, and that's a constant fun thing, but also a battle.
Right.
My side, yes. Yes, you.
How do you guys come up with topics to discuss?
How do we come up with topics to discuss?
Where do
in our videos?
ideas come from?
Space!
Space Jason.
Ideas. Reddit mostly, just Reddit. I'm on Reddit and I'm like, ooh, people like that, just write that. Nerdfighters don't go on Reddit that often. And I won't know that I'm just stealing it. No, that's not true.
If I only made videos based on what I saw on Reddit, all of my videos would be about soccer. I can't speak for Hank, but I'll speak for me. My ideas come from trying to live an engaged life, and then thinking about the things that those things make me think about. You saw Zay Frank do that this morning. For those of you who got to see Zay speak, someone suggested the word pineapples, and then he told us all the things that made him think of until he was talking about his relationship with his stepfather and that it wasn't what he wanted it to be. And so to get to that space, you have to let